right, like we usually do, we are going to be showcasing the newest character versus all of the demonic beasts. A lot of players wanted me to try him on all the different types of demonic beasts to see how really good this Percival is. Now again, he's going to be human and fairy support, and humans is actually really powerful in a lot of the difficulties on the demonic beasts, so he might be actually really viable on those type of teams, and we'll see how well he does. Now Percival is going to be most likely rocking his HP/defense set. It's because he's more so a support character, but I guess if you really want to, you could put like attack, defense, or attack crit damage on him, because he does have his part of his passive where he can get that Indomitable Will, where he gets like that 40% attack boost or attack buff, which could allow him to hit really hard. Again, we're gonna be trying him on all of the demonic beasts. Right now you can see this was a deer, and we're gonna do all of them. The only one I probably can't do is probably 4th floor of the bird, and probably Ratatasker. That's because Ratatasker does not have a mono type of team, and Percival wants a mono human team, so that one might not be it. All right, so we're gonna do this in a little bit in order of the characters. Now we're gonna do the demonic bird first, of course. I feel like this is gonna be probably the easiest one. The human team was already really powerful on the demonic bird already, so to have another addition to be added on is going to be really solid. Probably having Percival probably nuking a lot of phases, especially because his Indomitable Will is going to be very easy to activate, so he can probably just infinitely activate that all the time, and then he's able to pretty much just blast through most of the characters, or most of the phases, I mean. And like I said before, the human team was already a very powerful team on the demonic bird. I think the other teams are like unknowns and goddess team. Unknown is the other super strong team, but I know a lot of players who were more so free to play kind of utilize the goddess team as well too, just because the goddess team is a lot more tankier than most teams. But if you're looking for more offensive power, humans and unknowns are going to be the best one to allow you to easily farm it. And most people really like the human team the most, and that's because of Blue Roxy. This is a Blue Roxy death damage. It makes it a lot easier to chip the bird, which could be very helpful for damage cap phases. It means you can use less cards than having to take 4 cards to kill. And then Eskener also has his own death damage on his skill, so that is really good as well too, because the only thing you really need is single targets. So if you have a team that's based on single targets, it's gonna work out pretty well for you when doing the demonic bird. And that's why right now I'm just pretty much flying through the entire floors and stuff like that, especially because, again, like I said before, he's just that good. Because he has a single target, it makes it even more valuable for him. And then he has an Indomitable Will, which does give him like a 40% attack buff after he uses his skills twice. So again, it's a really, really strong team. I would like to say this is probably the best team for farming up the bird right now. Obviously, this team isn't really made to handle the 4th floor. That's going to have to be for unknowns like Thor and stuff like that. But if you're a person who still struggling on getting the relics for the bird, this human team is definitely going to be the best one to farm up the bird, going from floor 1 to 3. Now, you trying to go for floor 4, then obviously that means you have to use the unknown teams that features Thors and stuff like that, because the Thor and them are still the best team for floor 4. And we just pretty much farm the bird like that. Super easy, super fast. Again, this footage is pretty much double speed, so I think it took like it took 6 minutes. And that's because I had a pretty terrible revive passive right here. But this team could have just cleared in like 5 minutes or less. So yeah, that's pretty much it of the bird. And then we're gonna go to the next one to see how he fares. GG. All right, this time you are on the deer, and this is going to be the team we're going to be utilizing. I'm pretty sure it's gonna probably be a lot of people asking like, yo, Marilli, what gear you gotta use? What gear you gotta use? Bruh, if I'm on bird floor, if I'm on demonic bird or deer, the gear set is super easy. Usually a lot of players just use attack crit sets on most of the characters. Right now I'm using HP / defense on my Percival, and that's because right now I don't have gear for I don't have attack crit set for Percival, because the last Percival was a support as well. So I just kept my regular HP defense set on my Percival. I guess you'd say the deer is a little bit more tricky though, because you have to have characters that is based on the attributes. So you have to use a green, blue, and red. And I think this is probably where Percival isn't going to be probably the best for it, unless you're a person who struggles on taking damage on a deer. Because again, he is a light attribute character, and you want characters that can kind of match well with the color wheel. So light and dark characters are never really good on the deer, because they become really risky dealing with those color cycles. So I'll probably say he's probably not the best when it comes to the deer, but he works out pretty well. Again, the deer is super easy nowadays with the newer characters being Roxy and Escanor. So it's very easy to just farm them up anyways, even if you make any type of mistakes. So we just pretty much just spam our single targets, and we just pretty much nuke. With that, we're just doing the same thing where we got to do the color wheel, because he has that damage cap. So you have to first do the color wheel first before you can do damage. So we did the color wheel, and you saw the damage cap went away. That's for anybody who's still confused about the deer. And then Percival took it pretty well. And then we're just gonna kill. And this time we're just gonna keep just spamming our single targets and just calling it a day. I think I kind of misplayed, because I thought my Percival would do a lot more damage right there. But he didn't do as much because he didn't get the dominant wheel. I kind of be getting confused on how to like proc the dominant wheel sometimes, because I see 4 stacks on myself and then I don't get the dominant wheel sometimes. I don't know if you have to have the certain buff first. You might have to have the certain buff first, the recovery buff first, while you have the stacks, and then you get the dominant wheel. And that's why you saw I got the recovery buff right there, but I didn't get the dominant wheel. That might be it. Again, the more and more I play with Percival, or when he comes to global and have better translations, it'd be better for me to understand the character. But right now, I'm just casually just playing with the character at the moment. So we go for the AoE, and we just pretty much nuke deer as usual. And we just go for our single targets, especially because on this one you can freely use Percival cards because he's not dealing with the color wheel at the moment. But once you use a character who has an attribute, the color wheel will just progress, and then that's where you gotta be careful, because you could get it some adverse effects if you don't match well with the color wheel. Sometimes on each floor is different. Now on floor 3, if you don't match the color wheel, you get a corrosive debuff on you. Because I know I think on floor 2 it's a freeze, and I think floor 1 is like a seal. So we doing the same thing. We gotta match the color wheel, as you see the damage cap thing. And this one you gotta be very careful, because if you hit a certain threshold on the deer, he will just revive and get his full HP back. He'll get his HP all the way back, and then you got to deal with his dodge buff as well. So you want to make sure that you perfectly deal as much damage that he doesn't hit his threshold, which I believe is at like under 20%. You can just pretty much double check with the bars. And then that's GG. Again, really easy. All right, so this time we on Scotty, and like I said before or mentioned before, pretty much the gears are going to be pretty much all similar. There's no special gear I do for these videos, just because again, depending on your box EC or your constellations and stuff like that, will kind of determine what type of gear you can actually utilize for demonic beasts, because your characters become less tankier than mines. So for me having just regular attack crit damage sets and HP/defense sets, it's gonna work wonders for me because I have enough HP to match up. But for other people, you might have to try to utilize like crit defense gear and stuff like that, triple defense gear, you name it, all depending on your characters and how well do they tank. But I feel like with the PERCIVAL team, like since PERCIVAL just helps you out so much, I feel like it could help you that you don't need to have all those type of gears. Because I already know that there's gonna be some people asking like, yo, Marilli, how are you doing this much damage, or how are you able to tank and stuff like that, when at the end of the day it just comes with how far you progress in terms of your account. Because again, the more box CC you get, the more types of buffs you get, or constellations, which I mean, unfortunately that's just how the game is. Like depending on your box CC will kind of like determine how well you can tank some hits better than others. Sometimes it get a little bit annoying because you try to do like these casual helpful videos for players and stuff like that, but it ended up not being that great for the other person who's watching it, just because again, like they don't have your same box CC, or they die at a certain threshold, which I'm kind of happy that when it comes to the demonic beasts and stuff like that, they kind of have like the thing where it shows you how much box CC you should be trying to attempt this with. So even if I probably do a video and stuff like that, I can literally just be like, yo, do you have the recommended box CC to complete that demonic beast? And I can use that as an excuse to be like, yo, then that's the problem then. Because that it's not my video as bad as just that you're not rocking the recommended box CC on that demonic beast. It just gives me a good old excuse, man. Be like, yo, it's not my fault. It's just that sometimes for in-game content, you can't always beat it. Sometimes you gotta keep leveling up your box. Sometimes you gotta upgrade your characters more and more, and then eventually you'll be able to pretty much complete it. Especially because this game is like there's really not much benefits for like newer players at the moment. Like the game kind of like struggles with pretty much allowing like newer players to like get into the game. So you're not really in a rush to like have these high-end characters and stuff like that. Like most players in PvP don't even who play PvP don't even do gear PvP, just because like there's literally no value to it. Most players just go into ungeared and stuff like that because again, you have the gems to P that has the value. Which is why you don't want to worry about too much about like not having characters and stuff like that, because you just want to try to play to your best ability. Because if you try to like look at pretty much whatever these YouTubers are pretty much what these YouTubers are using, or completing content, or crafting these holy relics, then it's just gonna make you not want to play the game even further as well. Just because again, like everybody have that like dopamine where they or FOMO where they feel like, yo, they missing out because they can't make a Mael relic, even though Mael's not even meta. Or they'd be like, yo, man, I can't make a Trader Meliodas relic, even though he's really good on his relic, but it's not really much needed. You just want to try to play at your best ability. Like obviously, like this is not a race, okay? Like you are just trying to enjoy the game and have fun. But again, like I said before, people be having that feeling of missing out, and they want to try to do the squirrel. They want to try to build that Maya relic when they don't even have the box CC to match up well for those content, they don't have those characters yet. And now that you feel pretty much sad that, yo, you can't make that Maya relic, or you can't do the demonic scroll, when you was never supposed to be able to do the scroll to begin with. That's just how it be sometimes when you trying to like content lately. Just everything you try to do content in, the main complaint would be just like, yo, my character can't tank so well. Yo, my character, why is your character doing more damage than my character? We have the same gear. That's pretty much just be like the only problem with making content at the moment right now. Like the game just no benefit for newer players at the moment. Sometimes I'd be asking like, yo, how long will it be until I continue playing 7deadlysins grandcross, or try to like move on to like focus on like another new channel, stuff like that. Because I've been seeing like people just having a little bit more success on them building their own newer, like other content creators pretty much building their own newer channels and stuff like that, as I'm still trying to make content on Green Grand Cross when there's like no new players coming to the game at the moment. Because that's what I've been thinking about, like just making like a whole nother, you know, new channel, kind of like something for like, I don't know, like mobile gaming and stuff like that, where I'm playing like different types of mobile games. I don't know if I want to like stick to one game or not, just because again, like sticking to one game, not every game has that possibility of having longevity. So when that happens, like you kind of just out of luck with your channel at that point. But you know, it'll be pretty interesting. Again, I try to make as many fun videos as I want to, because these past 2 or 3 years in terms of Grand Cross, I definitely haven't, like in terms of making content, been myself in making content, just because of how they release banners or how they've been just managing the game in terms of like difficult content, or you know, with the newer updates and stuff like that. Just because again, like I used to do like videos where I'm just doing collabs with my boy Speedy. I'm over doing like cosplay videos, just having a blast and having fun. But more and more I play the game, you definitely can see that it's definitely not the same game. But you know, I'm gonna try my best to keep making content. Definitely keep on trying to make my best at making content. Obviously, because you know, Grand Cross is like literally the first game I make content on. So you kind of just don't want to like quit the game or something like that, or just get rid of it as soon as possible. You still have that little, you know, that first love that's tight in playing Grand Cross. But you just definitely just be feeling how the game just progressively change, and it's just like you can feel it like not improving to where you think it should improve. Because you know, sometimes that happens where games have their own restrictions on how much they can change, how much they can adjust, because they gotta please, you know, stockholders. They gotta please freaking CEOs and stuff like that. Because there's definitely some games that I looked at and I would definitely want to try to play and stuff like that. But it's just that feeling of having to start over. Definitely, that probably is like the scariest thing. Like starting over, you know, building out your channel, seeing what people like, which people don't like, and stuff like that. Because right now, I like with Grand Cross, I already know what people don't like when it comes to seeing me. Like usually with me, it's just that my channel is like fully based on PvP showcases. So most players don't come to me for guide videos for PvE. You know, I try to make them like I used to do back in the good old days. They definitely see that I'm more so a PvP creative channel and stuff like that, where if you want to see the most wacky and fun teams, come to Marilli. and I probably gonna try my best to make some funny, wacky team look successful in PvP or feel successful in PvP. Well, we definitely gonna see. There's always a hope for Origin as well. I know, like, some of my friends and other contractors be asking me like, yo, really, if I had the possibility, if Origin comes out, would I switch from Origins to the Grand Cross? Bro, I definitely would at this point. Like, I would do a full swap just because, again, I would enjoy having newer content rather than trying to like do anything with Grand Cross, because Grand Cross don't have new content. Like, it feels new sometimes because they might do like a new on a boss, new beast or something like that, but it's the same repetition where there's no progression and stuff like that. Like, when it came to like newer content that would actually felt like really fun, you had the tower trials before it got nerfed. You had the reverse stages before they forgot about it. Like, those type of content just felt so fun and so crazy because you just, especially reverse stages back in the good old days were just like so amazing because you will try to win matches with you being forced to use our characters like Twiggo, and you have to like figure out certain types of strategies or, you know, different types of strategies or ways of pretty much defeating that boss that you was going against with using like our characters and stuff like that. Like, it would be like Twiggo, Alioni versus like Meliodas and stuff like that. You just be trying to figure out different type of strategy. Like, oh, should I use this type of food? Oh no, wait, I gotta probably build up my character a little bit more and stuff like that for me to actually use them. Or you be thinking to yourself like, yo, like, I don't need to actually build up this one character because this character can carry. So maybe I can just hold off on building this character if I'm gonna use all three. And yeah, it's just so much fun stuff like that. Especially what was it? Let's say Tower Trials or something like that. Yeah, Tower Trials was actually really good because it was just like a strategy, a full-on strategy on each difficult level. It was multiple strategies. It wasn't like no gimmick or something like that, or no RNG fest. It was just strategies on what characters to bring and build for each specific event. And there was no RNG involved. You had a strategy, you had to follow suit. Sometimes you can switch up the strategy or build your own strategy. Like, one of my top videos I made was I think it was the third or fifth tower where people was having so much difficulty beating and stuff like that, and you could literally use this rid Molascula strategy to pretty much clear that entire floor and kind of like cheese it. Strategies like that was so much fun. Like having strategies where you can cheese these events were just so fun because, again, yes, it was probably a little bit RNG, but you could literally complete the most hardest difficulty or something that felt super hard with a character that barely anybody played with. Like, you know how good it was when when we had the first final boss king or super boss king, whatever you call it, and you could cheese it with counter Meliodas, green counter Meliodas. You could cheese one of the hardest difficulty. Free to play was eating so good because they didn't have to like summon for the newest banners like that. They could literally cheese with counter Meliodas. And that's how we feel like sometimes with the Grand Cross, like why I feel like it's a little bit different, because they just want RNG. They wanted to make it so like, yo, we're gonna make it so RNG based that the only way you can actually enjoy playing this content is either you have high box CC or you have to wait until we make a character that can make it bearable. There's no cheese. There's no cheese you can possibly do. They try to invent all types of cheeses. Like, they'll be like, yo, we're gonna reduce counters by 500%. We're gonna stop old gauge boosting. They do not want you to cheese. And that was the most fun thing to do, was the cheese, where you can have like some crazy strategy where, yes, you don't have to be a whale to beat this difficulty, because you could just cheese it, which it was a little bit RNG, but you didn't have to summon on the banner every single time, because you could just cheese the boss. That's why Red Dairy back in the good old days was like so good, because you could literally cheese and nuke the bosses without having to summon for the newest character. But like I said before, the devs kind of like prevented most of those cheeses. But hopefully you guys enjoyed the demonic beast video and my little bit of a rant and stuff like that. Hopefully you guys enjoy. This is Marilli, guys, and I'm out. Peace.